catch me if I fall.
Good afternoon, welcome to our second of two Premier League commentaries this afternoon. We already watched the North London derby, kicked off at 2 o'clock. Arsenal winning by 1-0 through Gabriel's header in that one to seal all 3 points for London Red. It is Wolves against Newcastle, our late game this afternoon, our second commentary of the day. A Newcastle side unbeaten after 3 games, 2 wins and a draw from their first 3. Wolves, the exact opposite, without a win this season, 1 draw and 2 defeats from their first 3 games, including a 6-2 thrashing here against Chelsea a few weeks ago. That's their only home outing, and the home Wolves fans will be hoping for a much better performance and a much better result here this afternoon. These two have drawn the most games. It's the most drawn fixture in Premier League history, when there have been at least 15 meetings between the two sides. And certainly that has come to pass in recent occasions. Newcastle looking to continue their wonderful start to the season, albeit off the pitch much more controversial, but on the pitch it looks to be all rosy and all going well. For Gary O'Neill's side, who really looked to be struggling last season and did an incredible job with Wolves last season to keep them well away from relegation, has a tough task at the start of this one. Let's have a look at the teams then for this one, and Sam Johnston starts in goal for Wolves. A back 4 of Nelson Semedo, Yerson Mosquera, Craig Dawson and Ryan Aït-Nouri make up the defence. Andre, the new signing, he joins Mario Lemina, the captain, in midfield, alongside John Richter-Bellegarde and Matheus Cunha in a more attacking role, with João Gomez just sitting in front of that midfield too, and Jørgen Strand Larsen leading the line for Wolves. Sa, Bueno, Doherty, Gomez, Doyle, Hwang, Borges, Guedes and Sarabia make up the bench. For Newcastle, in their bizarre away kit, I'll say, you can see the colouring of it there, Nick Pope in goal. Tino Livramento continues in defence alongside Fabian Schär, Dan Burn and Lewis Hall are the defence. Bruno Guimaraes captains the Newcastle side alongside Longstaff and Joe Linton in midfield, with Jacob Murphy, Anthony Gordon the wingers, alongside Alexander Isak, who leads the line. On the bench for Newcastle, Dubravka, Kraft, Kelly, Trippier, Tonali, Barnes, Willock, Osula and Almiron. Lots of attacking options there for Newcastle if they need them. Wolves looking to get their first win of the season. Could Newcastle fall to their first defeat of the season? Kick-off at Molineux is next. Good afternoon and welcome to Premier League Live for our second game of the day. As I said earlier on, we watched Arsenal beat Tottenham by 1-0 in the North London derby. Wolves taking on Newcastle now, our 4:30 kickoff. It's very rare that the kind of big game of the day is the early game. It's very rare that happens, but today's that occasion, and we get to watch a Wolves side. It's my first game watching Wolves. I've watched Newcastle a number of times this season. Let's see how they both do under this Molineux crowd this afternoon. Wolves, of course, in their traditional gold shirts and black shorts, with Newcastle in a navy blue with red lettering, which is certainly great for us all. Actually, I think the numbers might be white. It's kind of a hoopy type colour. The red kind of stripes along the shirt, and then the blue is the main colour. Anyway, we're underway to get this one going then. For our final Premier League game of the weekend, of course, as already it's been a wonderful Premier League weekend, especially for away sides. Only 2 home wins this weekend, Villa and City, the only 2 teams to win at home in this weekend. So, big weekend for away teams so far. And we'll see if Newcastle can follow that suit, or whether Wolves can join Aston Villa and City in winning at home. Here's Anthony Gordon. Newcastle looking to start quickly as Isak tried to dart it out to the left, but well cut out that time by Nelson Semedo. Although Newcastle quickly win it back. And of course, talking about Newcastle and Wolves, very contrasting starts to the season for these two clubs, considering the circumstances and probably their performances, to be honest, this season. I would argue, and I've made the point in previous commentaries for Newcastle, how they've probably not played at their very best or been at their best, but they've got the results. They've got results out of it. 7 points from your first out of a possible 9 from your first 3 games, considering you haven't played at your very best, or haven't played to the top level, is certainly promising for Eddie Howe's team. But Wolves probably thought that they should have more than just a singular point on the board, of which they got away at Nottingham Forest, of course. Their other results, of course, ending in defeat. That 6-2 defeat to Chelsea here a number of weeks ago. We were actually doing a commentary on another game at the time, when Wolves were playing Chelsea, and Chelsea ultimately absolutely destroying them in that second half. They were 2-2 at half time, and Chelsea scored 4 goals without reply in the second half to end up winning the game by 6 goals to 2. Of course, a freak result, ultimately the highest scoring result of the season so far. And Newcastle starting with controlled possession in the early few moments. Here's Lewis Hall to Gordon, up against Semedo. Tries to step in field as Gordon finds his man. Guimaraes trying to cross it in. And well defended out there by Craig Dawson, who got there, and Nuri trying to clear his lines. And whacks it off Livramento for a goal kick. Of course, for Wolves, what are their expectations for this season? It's my first commentary for Wolves, so I haven't really kind of got into the rhythm with Wolves this season. What is their expectations? Last season, they were kind of one of the favourites to be relegated, with Gary O'Neill taking over so late before the season started. Luan Lopetegui leaving the week of their first game, and ultimately getting a close shave away at Old Trafford, the first game last season for Wolves. But their expectations were being in a relegation battle. But Gary O'Neill did an absolute wonderful job with Wolves last season. Had them at one point in the campaign kind of pushing for kind of top half of the league, ultimately finishing in 14th. But you look at the points, they were off top half. They were only 3 points off a top half place. So it certainly wasn't one of those where they were well cut adrift and they were in a relegation battle. They actually ended up a good 20 points ahead of 18th place Luton. So they were nowhere near threatened by relegation last season. And maybe you could argue that there were definitely, most certainly, 3 teams worse off than them last season, if not more, obviously, with them finishing 6 places from the bottom. But the argument being, Wolves had that expectation of relegation last season. They've improved. They've got a new goalkeeper, of course, with Sam Johnston in for Jose Sa, who's now on the bench. Came in a number of seasons ago for the number 1, and Sam Johnston coming in now, adding that experience, that English international, into the goal. Of course, got Andre from Brazil in midfield, making his first start this afternoon, along with Mario Lamina and João Gomez. And they've got really good quality players, Wolves. It's just they've underachieved with those players in previous seasons and in previous campaigns. And I think, the Wolves of old, with the Nuno side that got promoted quite a number of years ago, I think these Wolves fans expecting something of maybe mid-table and probably a late push for Europe at the very most that they can ask for their season. Although here's Newcastle with Isak trying to cause problems, but Wolves holding firm. So far Newcastle have dominated the possession. Here's Hall. Back with Dan Burn, but it's a promising start from Newcastle in this one, who've had 90% of the possession so far. They're certainly in control in the first 5 minutes. Are the visitors. Back with Nick Pope. Of course, 2 England international goalkeepers going against each other today. Whether it be or not that Sam Johnson will be picked at international level in the future is one of a question mark. Here's Cher. Next to go Long over the top, trying to find the run there. I think it was Livramento when they overlapped there. Ultimately came to nothing. It was Joelinton. Just recycled it back in midfield, and that's another thing about Newcastle. A few of their games they've controlled possession, and I don't want to kind of harp it back to Tottenham from earlier on, but we saw those two play each other just before the international break, not Newcastle and Tottenham, and it was kind of a game where Newcastle obviously won the game 2-1 in the end by taking really good chances, but both sides really kind of gave up some big opportunities in that game, and either could have won it. It could have went either way, but in the end it mattered who took the chances in the end. And I think that's something also that Newcastle will have to be very wary of. When they dominate games, they just kind of start really well but fall away in games. They need to find that consistency and that kind of balance throughout the game that a number of games this season they haven't really kind of clung on to or held on to at that moment. As here they come, and that's a big chance. Murphy with a shot, and I think Sam Johnson got a touch to it. See this again, right through the middle. Isak just drops off on the half turn, picks up the ball, and Murphy just makes the run in behind, and he does really well at timing his run, and he has the shot just at the edge of the D with his left, and a strong right hand from Sam Johnson carries it over the bar. But that's a huge early moment there for Newcastle. Very interesting to see Isak dropping deeper, and Murphy just kind of making that diagonal run infield, in behind the defence. Corner for Newcastle, left hand side. Gordon rolls it to Murphy. Murphy goes back to Hall. Hall with a cross, takes a deflection, and coming out commandingly was Sam Johnston to gather for Wolves. Seeing the shot again, it's a fantastic save. We talk about keepers just having to do the very kind of fingertip saves at times that could be the difference. I was just watching Wolves trying to play it from the back there. That's why I paused for that moment. They almost gave it away. But, Sam Johnston made a huge save there and already called into action early doors. But that's what you need at this level. When you aren't going to give up chances, you need a proper goalkeeper that's really going to save you in those moments. And to be honest, pretty harshly, Jose Sa has been that previously for Wolves. Has kind of made some huge saves. He was one of the best Premier League goalkeepers for one of the seasons. I think it was a few seasons ago, where he was absolutely incredible when he came in. He was one of the best, and obviously hasn't kept up that kind of consistency, that momentum. But Sam Johnson already called into action and making a huge save early on. Here's Isak. Does well there. Does Yerson Mosquera, who gives away the throw-in on the left-hand side, but makes sure Isak doesn't get past him. Hall to Joelinton. Back to Byrne. To Lewis Hall again. Gordon. Newcastle just holding the possession, controlling the possession so far. They actually beat Wolves 3-0 late last season. That was, however, at St James's Park back in March. Alexander Isak and Anthony Gordon with 2 goals in the first half for Tino Livramento. Added a third and added time in the second half. But they were held to a draw here last season, as I mentioned about the draws between these sides over the years. Callum Wilson scored Newcastle's 2 goals that day. Mario Lamina and Hee-chan Hwang, the 2 goal scorers for Wolves. So 2-2 draw last season between these two. And it's not the only time that it's ended in a draw here. Quite considerably so. Wolves have... there's been a draw in 5 of the last 6 meetings between these two at the Premier League here at Molineux. Newcastle haven't beaten Wolves at Molineux in the Premier League since October 2011. Certainly not a happy hunting ground for Newcastle. 1 defeat and 5 draws in the last 6 appearances here. Last 6 meetings. Here is Ait Nouri. Bellegarde back to Ait Nouri. And now back to Dawson, who will look to spin the ball out to the right flank. Finds Nelson Semedo. Chops inside Hall. Here is Semedo, who will have the shot, but straight down the throat of Nick Pope. Not much of a concern in the end there for the Newcastle keeper. Pope under pressure. Had to scramble that one away. Goodness me. Did get it away to Fabian Schär. Just kind of had that kind of hop the ball away from the pressure. If he'd have played it along the ground, it would have been into his own net there. Did well to adjust just in time under pressure, Nick Pope. Here is Joe Linton. Tried to send Sean Longstaff through, but that's a really good challenge back there by Aït-Nouri. He does well to hold the ball up here for the moment for Wolves. Now Andre back to Dawson. And now Sam Johnston. Through the lines it goes. Finds Semedo. Back across Andre. Now Dawson to Aït-Nouri. Linking it up with Bellegarde, who had nowhere to go. Livramento put that one out for a Wolves throw. I did say I would keep you up to date with the game in the Championship between Portsmouth and West Brom this afternoon. And it is West Brom who lead by 2-0. And the last update that I gave you on the last stream, West Brom were leading 1-0. Josh Maja with a goal. And Alex Mowat in the second half has added a second, so it is Portsmouth 0. West Brom 2 in the Championship. Ooh, it's a late challenge there by Livramento on Bellegarde. The referee's going to give the free kick to Wolves, but nothing more. As referee this afternoon, Chris Kavanagh. Yeah, they're both going for the ball, but Bellegarde gets there ahead. And Livramento comes sliding in. It is a free kick, no doubt. No question about that one. Lamina tries to spin the ball away from his marker. Does well to find Strand Larsen, but he was in an offside position. So Newcastle get the free kick. Byrne to Lewis Hall. Now Anthony Gordon up against Semedo. Has to turn back infield and back towards his own goal. Under pressure from Semedo was Gordon. Did well to lay it off to Hall, who has a bit of space to break forward. Finds the backtracking Isak. Now Gordon. Again to Hall. Newcastle trying to work it through the lines at the moment, but Wolves strong in their defensive shape. Forcing Newcastle backwards with Fabian Schär to Tino Livramento. Linking up with Murphy there. A Longstaff run out of room, but we'll get the throw in for Newcastle. Murphy wins another throw in for Newcastle, which Livramento will take once more on this right hand side. Back it goes to Schär. Now here comes Gordon up against Mosquera, and Mosquera puts that one out for the throw in. As Gordon links up with Joe Linton. Joe Linton just about arriving into the box, has to turn back to Hall. Now Gordon wide on the left. Squares it infield to Joe Linton. Got a bit of space on the turn, but Lamina was there to nick the ball away from him. And now Strand Larsen tries to break. Up against Byrne. And there's no getting past Dan Byrne on that occasion for Jørgen Strand Larsen, the Wolves number 9. But that was a really good bit of play from Mario Lamina. He just absolutely took it off the toes of Joe Linton, and it's kept the Newcastle midfielder on the ground at up the other end. So Joe Linton on the ground. And I mean, I don't think there's a foul, and it's not a foul for me. Joelinton let the ball run, and I mean, it's just a collision between the two. Their feet kind of collide, but it's not a foul from the point of view of Wolves, to be honest. Mario Lemina didn't do very much wrong there at all, and Joelinton back to his feet. Wolves trying to win the midfield battle again. Livramento lost it in the middle. Cunha tries to come away with it, but Livramento battling back, but Cunha still keeps the ball on that right-hand side. 3 bodies surround him, and somehow Matheus Cunha has won Wolves the throw, which gets a massive roar from the crowd. Tino Livramento lost the ball in midfield, tracked it all the way out to the left-back position, and had teammates there, but Wolves win the throw-in, of which Semedo will take. Taking his time, though. Trying to find the right option. Plays it to his captain, Lemina. And off Joelinton it goes. Will be another throw into Wolves on the right-hand side. As Wolves back they come with Dawson. Now Ait-Nouri has to go all the way back to Sam Johnston. Certainly not what Wolves want, and Johnson's had to pump that out for a throw. That's a very negative last moment there from Wolves, from a throw in high up on the right hand side to all the way back to their keeper, who hooks it out for a Newcastle throw. I mean, definition of a negative play. Byrne, Hall now finds Joelinton. He wants to step in field, but he's being battled with by his opposite number in Andre, and again Wolves win it back in midfield, and now have a bit of a chase on with Strand Larsen, but Hall gets back there in time to recover. Just seems like Wolves are winning that midfield battle at the moment. When there's those little tussles in midfield, those little one-on-one battles, looks like the Wolves players are getting the better of it, with the likes of Mario Lemina, Andre, etc., etc. As the trap ball over the top there, Newcastle, and Gordon's find the floor. Newcastle maybe wanting a penalty, I think, there, but it's more the fans rather than the players claiming for that. And ultimately we play on, as Sam Johnston ultimately got the grab on the ball. Dawson back to Johnston. Plays it into midfield, finds Andre. Now Lemina, back to goal, finds Andre, lovely link up, finds Cunha now, and Lemina's made the break down the right hand side. There's good play by Wolves, and Lemina just lost his footing there, which allowed Newcastle to pick the ball back up. But that was a good combination from the Wolves midfield there. Cunha, Lemina and Andre. The ball sails over the head of Ait-Nouri, but Murphy in an offside position, so Wolves get the free kick. Well, Newcastle have had 75% possession so far. So Wolves was just 25%. But some sides do it on purpose. Some sides allow the opponent to have more of the ball, allow them to kind of control the game and maybe try and hit them on the counter-attack. And, you know, sometimes it's very profitable. See how it works out this afternoon. Hall, 20 minutes gone. Wolves 0, Newcastle 0. Here's Anthony Gordon. Not really seen much goalmouth action so far. In terms of major chances, as now Nelson Semedo got a bit over-eager in midfield, tracking Anthony Gordon all the way in and ultimately giving away the free kick. Mr. Referee Chris Kavanagh just wants to get a hold on to, make sure nothing else comes of that. Well, one thing I will point out about the last 6 meetings between these two, albeit 5 draws and 1 win for Wolves. I'll hold that thought, actually. Here's Gordon. Isak tried to get the ball. It was behind him. Poor pass by Anthony Gordon. Looked to be a promising moment all of a sudden there for Newcastle. Here's Guimaraes to Longstaff. Livramento. As I will go back to my point. The last six meetings, 5 draws and 1 Wolves win. Every single one of those games, both sides scored, so neither side have kept a clean sheet against each other in the last 6 meetings here, that is, at Molineux. So it's Joelinton getting a full hold of Andre there, but the Newcastle midfielder will be penalised for that, so a free kick to Wolves. Hoping for some goals today. Certainly not been the most fruitful of Premier League weekends, though. Some games with some goals, a 5-goal game, a 4-goal game, but other than that, there's not been massive goal-mouth action in terms of competition over the weekend. A few 1-0ers, a 0-0 draw between Brighton and Ipswich as well this weekend, so certainly not full of goals this weekend in the Premier League, but hopefully today, hopefully this one is our big one. Here's Anthony Gordon. Lots of quality on show. Gordon does really well. Beats past 2. Anthony Gordon! I think it might have hit the post on the far side and went wide. Goodness me. That would have been a wonderful individual goal by Anthony Gordon. Just spins on the ball. Bursts past Nelson Semedo. Then leaves Mosquera for dead as well on the cover. Fabulous from Anthony Gordon. See it again, he leaves 2 for dead. It's terrible defending. And then the cross, or I think he does go for the shot, but he tries to curl it to the far corner. Sam Johnson full stretch, and it does come banging off the crossbar. The post. Incredible opportunity for Anthony Gordon there. Just ended up a bit wayward, but it would have been a wonderful goal that if it went in. Wolves maybe a bit of a scare from an individual bit of brilliance from Anthony Gordon. As Lamina tries to battle with Guimaraes, the two captains in a full tussle. Lamina winning the throw. Guimaraes was calling for a foul, but the referee said no. As here is Gomez. João Gomez. To Aitnouri. To Lamina. Lovely flick by Lamina. Finds John Rickner Bellegarde. On the left, Bellegarde. Looking for options, crosses it into the box as Joelinton was there to head it away. Lots of Newcastle bodies in cover though. Here's Gomez. Better from Wolves. Here's Bellegarde. Run made by Aitnouri, but Bellegarde will look to switch it. Tries to find Nelson Semedo, but Anthony Gordon tracking back, closes down that pass. Intercepts well. Hall to Longstaff. And Joelinton just played it a bit behind Anthony Gordon as Semedo gets the brick of the ball, gets past 2. Semedo with a cutback, and Cunha couldn't cleanly strike it there and cleared away by Newcastle. Much better intensity from Nelson Semedo there. Just got past 2 himself and cut it back, and Matheus Cunha just couldn't reach it, couldn't really connect with it. Otherwise it would have been a threatening moment. Just under 25 minutes gone. The game's starting to open up. We're starting to see a few more glimmers of the goal from both teams, that is. Here's Anthony Gordon. Isak's gone a bit quiet. He drops deep again to get a touch on the ball. Plays it wide to Hall. Nice link up 1-2. Here's Isak again. Trying to be seen out by Mosquera, who does really well on the cover. Up against his opposite number. And will win the free kick, does Yosan Mosquera. Fabulous bit of defending for the Colombian. 23-year-old Colombian. Just seeing that chance for Cunha again. for Nelson Semedo, breaking forward, and then the cut back to Cunha. Just kind of slid for it, Cunha, and didn't really make any sort of contact on it. As Strand Larson flicks over the top, but Newcastle deal with that as Nick Pope's under pressure goes long. That will bounce its way out for a Wolves throw. Good pressure. Here is Dawson. Finding Bellegarde, and the darted ball by Nuri just a bit too much. Ultimately goes out for a Newcastle throw. As I was mentioning, the last time that Wolves beat Newcastle was here back in 2021. Of course, Newcastle have beaten Wolves the last 3 times at St James's Park and only conceded 1 in those 3 occasions. So it's home form that's good for Newcastle. It's when they head away to Wolves where they seem to struggle at the moment. As I mentioned, Wolves, the last time they beat Newcastle was 2021. I'll get to that in a moment, because here comes Bellegarde breaking into the box, and this shot from a narrow angle goes well over the bar, but that was a nice turn of pace from John Rickner. Bellegarde just off the left hand side, drives across the middle and ends up out on the right hand flank, and as he drives into the box, it's too tight an angle for him to make anything of. But Wolves beat Newcastle back in 2021 in the 7th game of the season on that occasion. It was back in October 2021. He Chan Huang with both goals on that day, set up both times by Raul Jimenez. Raul Jimenez, of course, not at this club anymore, but He Chan Huang on the bench this afternoon got both of those Wolves goals that day. Jeff Hendrick was the scorer, and Javier Manquillo set up him for the equaliser for Newcastle, both currently no longer at the club. 28 minutes gone, 0-0. But again, we've seen a bit more from Wolves. They kind of started on the back foot, and Newcastle were getting joy, and probably been much the better team and more in control, and certainly starting to see a bit more joy in front of goal. But the last 5 minutes or so, we've actually seen a lot more of Wolves. They've got on the ball a bit more. They've tried to kind of get their real pacey quality players involved. The likes of a Nelson Semedo. We've seen a bit more of John Rickner, Bellegarde, Cunha as well. We've seen a bit more of those technicians for Wolves in the last few minutes, and has actually helped them battle in this game really well. Certainly found a bit more of the home side in the last few minutes, after what has been a positive start for the visitors, albeit still goalless. As Livramento does well in midfield, spins on the ball, finds Longstaff. Now wide to Murphy. Will drive in field, but there's nowhere to go with his pass as Wolves win it back through João Gomez. Now out Nuri. Cross to Andre, lovely ball. Finds the run of Semedo on the right hand side. And Mosquera's going to go out the outside. Mosquera with a cross, and I think it might have took a deflection there, and actually in the end it didn't. Goal kick, but goodness me, lovely ball by Andre. And Nelson Semedo, you think the fullback's going to be the furthest forward, but a centre-back overlapping the fullback. Don't often you see that, but Mosquera gets on his bike down that right hand side, completely on the overlap over Nelson Semedo, and tries to cross it in, but completely gets it the wrong connection on that one massively, and goes well behind for a goal kick. But seeing that more rhythm about Wolves in the last few minutes. This is a head-on-head battle there. I think there might have been a collision between the two, of one of each team, but the referee's playing on for the moment. No clash of heads injury concern at this moment in time. Here's Lamina. Wide to Semedo. Now in behind for Cunha. Cunha look with a cross. Well blocked by Byrne. Corner to Wolves, and the crowd can feel it now. Their side are certainly showing a lot more threats. A lot better football from Wolves in the last few minutes, and the crowd are certainly feeling it. They're getting behind it. And they now have a corner. They're first of the game. Only the second overall in the game, so there's not many corners so far, just the one previously. They've certainly a few that can get on the end of it. Craig Dawson certainly one of the main targets that can threaten here for Wolves in this set piece. Right-footed delivery deep to the back post. Aït-Nouri with a touch. Does keep it in play. Tries to ping it across, and Fabian Schär had the block that time. Another Wolves corner, this time on the left-hand side. It's better from Wolves. Much, much better. Aït-Nouri looking for his option. Cunha's just going to drift as the short option here, I think. Yeah, they're going to go for the short option. Here is Cunha. Right-footed delivery. And a flicked header by Andre. Is over the bar, but he was offside anyway. And despite the massive kind of parity and difference in possession so far, with still Newcastle sharing over 2/3 of the possession, chances and shots very similar. 3 shots apiece so far in the game. 1 shot on target apiece each. So fairly even in the final third front, but possession-wise still Newcastle dominant and well ahead of Wolves. I think Gary O'Neill was in conversation with the referee there. Well, I have to say, Wolves did have their problem with officials last season. Of course, they had their own way. They would have been a big talk about VAR. They brought a vote to the Premier League, of course, if you remember, that wanted a review of VAR and everything that was going on, and a real problem. They felt that they were on the end of massive decisions, massively incorrect decisions on multiple occasions last season, did Wolves feel. And, you know, again, what team didn't have big problems, big kind of decisions against them? I think they were just a bit kind of throwing their toys out of the pram last season. Wolves got a bit kind of stroppy. And I get how frustrating it is, but bad decisions happen, albeit I'm not excusing them. Of course, you're right to be frustrated, but again, a bit over the top. Here's Isak for Newcastle. Now finds Murphy, just beaten to it by Aït-Nouri there. Puts it behind for the corner. Again, a moment where Wolves were in control, but Newcastle just nicked the ball away in midfield. It's good work by Joe Linton, I think, initially. Plays the nice ball through to Isak. Isak kind of arrowing the attack for Newcastle. Plays it out to Murphy, and Aït-Nouri did really well covering back to put it behind for the corner, which they have to defend now, Wolves. Left-footed delivery from the corner. Flicked away by Craig Dawson, who will see it out for a throw on the left-hand side. Making his presence felt in a defensive sense, Craig Dawson there from that set piece. And about 10 minutes to go with the first half. Wolves 0, Newcastle 0. Both sides certainly showing more in the final third, but no goals just yet. It's Pope. Finds it in the midfield for Bruno Guimaraes. Now Gordon on the left, battling with Semedo. Ultimately winning the throw-in off Nelson Semedo. Takes it quickly, does Gordon, to Joe Linton. Back to Anthony Gordon. Through into the middle to Longstaff, who tried to take the pass first time, but lost the ball. Ultimately, and now Wolves want to try and break. Here is Larsson, gets the better of Byrne this time. Bodies forward, Larsson into the box, Cunha leaves it! And Mario Lemina with a tap into the back post. Mastery from Matheus Cunha, who you thought was going to take it, the dummy of all. And Mario Lemina with a tap in at the back post. All from Newcastle. Control at the other ends. Wolves on the break. Strand Larson gets the better of Byrne. Gets the cross into the box. Cunha with the dummy. And Mario Lamina with a goal. Wolves take the lead. But it's Longstaff, just a bit sloppy. Tried to pass it off first time. Doesn't see the pressure coming. Gives the ball away. And the pass to find Strand Larson was beautiful. And his battle one-on-one with Dan Byrne. Wins that battle emphatically, does Strand Larson. Does really well. Just shoves him away. And then just gets the ball through the legs. Cunha leaves it. And Mario Lamina with a simple enough tap in to just beat the no man. There was no one in that goal. Nick Pope had committed to the front post. It was as simple as you like. And the Wolves captain gives the home side the lead. Wolves 1, Newcastle 0. We certainly had a bit of dancing to do to celebrate there, Mario Lamina. And maybe that's the break. Maybe that's the moment that will start to turn this around, turn their season around. 3 games, not a win to show for it, but showing much more fight, desire, promise and intensity in this one already. And it's got a bit tetchy all of a sudden because there's a yellow card coming out. Mosquera's got a bit lippy, but it's Joelinton that's going to get the yellow card for a challenge he made. And the first yellow of the game goes the way of the Newcastle midfielder. Yeah, Joelinton felt it was fouled initially, and then just a retaliation one. Just gets a bit frustrated and just absolutely takes out João Gomez. No question of a yellow card for Joelinton. His 3rd of the season. But to be honest, once again from Newcastle, it's an avoidable moment. Again, a goal shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have lost the possession in the first place. Just that impatience in the final third. You know, there's a difference between being kind of efficient in the final third and moving the ball really quickly and not wanting to waste any time, and just being wasteful, as giving the ball away unnecessarily by rushing the pass or rushing the moment. I think Newcastle massively kind of guilty of that there. Just Longstaff just doesn't take enough time on the ball, just rushes the pass, doesn't see that there's pressure from the Wolves midfield and ends up losing the possession, and ultimately from that counter-attack Wolves get the goal. But you know, for the fact that they've had the majority of possession, they've been pretty careless in moments on the ball. Newcastle pretty careless. They've given away another free kick there. Sean Longstaff again, the one committing that foul. The update from the Championship: Wolves, West Brom, sorry. I'll get crucified for saying that. Portsmouth beaten 3-0 by West Brom, and that one Alex Mowat with 2 in the second half to seal the deal there. Portsmouth 0, West Brom 3. Ultimately, I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful goal. It's an absolute beautiful goal. Just saw the replay of it there. It's absolutely beautiful. There's nothing better than a dummy in the box. And I was certain that Matheus Cunha was going to take it in the dummy, and you just see Mario Lamina's eyes light up. I think the whole crowd, no one spotted it at the back post. And as soon as you see the ball coming towards him, you know what's going to happen next, and the crowd just go wild on that moment. Well, actually, Newcastle, 5 of the last 6 games, they were the first team to score, and Wolves, breaking a rhythm of theirs as well, they've conceded the first goal in 4 of the last 5, so both sides breaking that record. It's also a record to continue for Newcastle without a clean sheet in 4 games now in a row, ultimately. That includes the Cup game. They kept a clean sheet in their first Premier League game of the season, so here's Anthony Gordon trying to get a response for Newcastle, but hounded by the Wolves defence. And Wolves come away with the ball cleanly, says the referee. Here's Strand Larson. Space here for Wolves if they can break. Here's Bellegarde. He's got Ait Nouri on the overlap. Finds Ait Nouri now. Ryan Ait Nouri goes on the outside with the backtracking Longstaff. Again beats Longstaff in the one-on-one and crosses it. But Nick Pope blasted that one away with his right hand. Goodness me, Ryan Ait Nouri, a burst of pace there. Fabulous. 4 minutes or so to go of the first half, and Wolves certainly the better side at the moment. Really showing off their quality. Here's John Rickner Bellegarde. Back to Ait Nouri. Now Dawson. Moving the ball a lot quicker, a lot crisper than what Newcastle are when they are in possession, Wolves. Here's João Gomez. Dawson. Now Andre back to Mosquera. And now back to Sam Johnston, who will go long, trying to target that left flank. And ultimately the touch comes off the Newcastle defender, and Livramento throw into Wolves. Switch ball out to the right hand side. Closed off, but Newcastle don't win the challenge, and Mosquera will recover it back from Lamina. Ait Nouri back with Johnston. Just a bit of control about Wolves now. Just a bit of kind of collection, calmness about Wolves. That's a lovely spin, beautiful by Andre. And now feeds it through. Look at this for Lamina. Run through again. Try to play the pass. Falls to Lamina again, who makes an absolute nothing of that. Drags it well wide. Goodness me, Wolves had another good chance there to make it 2. But again, I mean, gaping holes in the Newcastle defence. I mean, where are the defenders? Mario Lamina's just got all the time in the world, and then as his pass is misplaced, no one there from a Newcastle point of view to pick up the loose ball. Just always a step behind, and lucky for Newcastle, Mario Lamina made an absolute mess of that shot. Because if it was a decent effort, it probably would have been a massive chance at 2-0. 90 seconds to go of the first half, plus any additional, of course. Certainly Wolves in the ascendancy. Longstaff to Livramento. But we've seen Newcastle not be at their best and still get results out of games, still get the points on the board, so certainly wouldn't rule Newcastle out at this stage. Well, certainly not. Here's Hall. Out wide to Murphy. Threaded it through nicely there, did Hall, but here's Murphy. Under pressure. Kept the ball, fine. Bruno Guimaraes, but Ait Nouri trying to hustle for the challenge. Here's Gordon. Now out wide on the left with Joe Linton. Last minute of the first half. Back to Guimaraes. Livramento decided to leave it. Got a bit fortunate there that it went to Murphy, as Bellegarde was lurking, but here is Jacob Murphy round the corner. Nice give and go between Longstaff and Livramento. It's better movement from Newcastle, but Wolves solid in their defending at the moment. In their shape as Gordon delivers. Cleared away by Mosquera. And now Cunha lays it off. Now Wolves want a break. Here's Bellegarde. There's a few bodies back here for Newcastle. About 5 or 6 bodies retreating. But Bellegarde breaks down the left. Takes the touch, does Gomez. And not in a massive hurry are Wolves at this moment in time. So we hit the 45-minute mark. And we will have just one added minute, so not much to add on to the end of the first half here. Just the one added minute. Nelson Semedo to Andre. Gomez to Andre again. Back to Mosquera. All the way back to Sam Johnston. And the Wolves goal. Long ball pumped forward. Won by Newcastle, brought down in midfield, and... brought down that time was Bruno Guimaraes. against his Brazilian compatriot in Andre, as Newcastle tried to take the free kick quickly, which Wolves were well known to, and they dealt with that really well, Wolves. Although Isak's on the floor now, so there's going to be a stoppage for the moment. I have to be honest, Newcastle tried to catch out Wolves with that quick free kick, and that's a really good challenge by Matheus Cunha. And I think Dawson just clears up the field. I think it just skims off the head of Isak, so rather than the challenge, it was the clearance by Dawson that had Isak on the ground. Still on the ground. And I think the referee just has to make sure he's okay with a possible head injury, so keep an eye on this. I mean, I don't know why Sandro Tonali was moving there. He is an option, but I don't think he's going to be coming on with seconds to go with the first half, surely. If it is to be that substitution, it would be at half-time, I would guess. Newcastle will make that change if they were to. Certainly in conversation there, Jason Tyndall and Eddie Howe. Isak is back to his feet, holding his nose, so I think he might have a bloody nose of some sort, so he's holding a bit of tissue to his nose, so we'll see whether he comes back on the second half. I'm sure he will, but I think the referee will just call this half in a moment, as the drop ball will go Newcastle's way in a second or so. Dropped, and the half-time whistle goes. So, first half done and dusted, and all well and good for Wolves. Mario Lemina, the Wolves captain, has the difference at the break. A really good counter-attacking move, sloppy from Newcastle in possession, and Mario Lemina with a tap in at the back post. Half-time at Molineux, it is Wolves 1, Newcastle 0. Analysis and results recap on the way next.
Catch me if I fall.
Welcome back to Premier League Live at half-time between Wolves and Newcastle. It is Wolves 1, Newcastle 0. Mario Lemina's goal separating the sides at the break. Wolves in a rare position, shall we say, for this season, leading at the break, or leading at any real point of a game this season, considering the fact that they have found themselves behind in all three of their games so far this season. So a lead is very rare. But anyway, we'll get to the analysis of the game in a moment or two. But let's run you through the Premier League weekend so far. We didn't do it earlier on because we had not enough time to talk about it. But let's run you through 8 games in the Premier League yesterday. And we start lunchtime kickoff at St Mary's on the south coast, where... was it a must-win for Erik ten Hag and Manchester United? Well, if it was, They certainly achieved it, beating Southampton by 3-0. Cameron Archer actually had the chance to give Southampton the lead in that one. He had his penalty saved by Andre Onana in the 33rd minute. Just 2 minutes after that, Matthijs de Ligt got his first ever Manchester United goal to give the visitors the lead. And then just before half-time, Marcus Rashford added a second to give United a comfortable lead before the break. There was many's a change before the 96th minute. It was all wrapped up through Alejandro Garnacho's goal to make it 3-0. Jack Stevens also shown red in that one for Southampton, so they were down to 10 heading into the final 10 minutes. It means Man United have won 2 of their first 4 this season. It's their biggest win of the season, their best result of the season, shall we say, but albeit facing a side who have now lost all 4 games this season and only scored just the 1 goal. Southampton, certainly not a good start to the season for the newly promoted side. There were no goals at the Amex in one of the 3 o'clock kickoffs between Brighton and Ipswich, as Ipswich add another point to their tally. It makes it 2 points out of their first 4 games. 2 draws, 2 defeats from their first 4, but no goals to show for it, as the Brighton side, who had 21 shots, 69% possession, but could not convert any of their chances, and on the end it ended 0-0. A draw in South London as well, as Crystal Palace met Leicester. Jamie Vardy opened the scoring for Leicester in the first half to give the Foxes the lead. They then went 2-0 up through Stefan Mavridi's goal in the first minute of the second half. Just a minute later, Crystal Palace got one back through Jean-Philippe Mateta before a 92nd minute penalty from Jean-Philippe Mateta secured the draw for Oliver Glasner's Palace. A Palace side and a Leicester side, both sides without a win this season. A draw was written in the stars. Both sides still without a win, and only 2 points to show from their first 4 games. Another draw on the cards yesterday. Fulham against West Ham. Raul Jimenez opened the scoring for Fulham in the first half before a 95th minute equaliser from Danny Ings secured a point for Julian Lopetegui's Hammers, who have picked up all 4 of their points on the road this season. It is Wolves' second draw of the season. They sit on 5 points, West Ham on 4. But we move to the shock of the afternoon yesterday, as Arne Slot's honeymoon period at Liverpool was started with 3 wins in a row and 3 clean sheets in a row, ended at the hands of Nottingham Forest yesterday under Nuno Espirito Santo, getting their first win at Anfield. Nottingham Forest since 1969, 55 years since they last beat Liverpool on their own on Liverpool's own patch, and it was a dominant display from Liverpool in terms of possession and chances, but in the end couldn't convert any of them. A lack of clinical finishing on the day for Liverpool, which has been one of their biggest praises this season, and in the end they paid the price at the other end. Callum Hudson-Odoi scoring at the other end for Nottingham Forest to give them the lead and ultimately the win. It is a very rare defeat for Liverpool at home, and it's only their only goal they've conceded this season. To the Etihad, where the champions were back in action. They faced Brentford. The last side to beat them at the Etihad in the Premier League was Brentford, of course, and Brentford cruised into an early lead 22 seconds into the game. The quickest Premier League goal of the season, Johan Visa opened the scoring for Brentford before, you guessed it, 2 goals from Manchester City, both scored by Erling Haaland. It turned it all around. It was only goals in the first half for City. Again, not the massively convincing from City, who had just around 54% possession, but did have 18 shots in the game, so they were certainly creating chances, but not dominating possession, as is accustomed to Manchester City. But they did make it 4 wins out of 4, and they topped the table. Brentford, 2 defeats and 2 wins to start their campaign. Ebbing and flowing week in, week out. Won their both home games, but lost both away games, Brentford. To Villa Park as well in the evening game, the first of our 2 evening games last night, as Dwight McNeil opened the scoring for Everton. Everton actually cruised into a 2-goal lead. McNeil and Calvert-Lewin in the first half, securing Everton's 2-0 lead. But Ollie Watkins got 1 goal just before half-time, before it was 2-2 through Ollie Watkins at the start of the second half, before once again, for the second consecutive game, Everton were 2-0 up and end up losing by 3-2 with an absolute wonder strike by John Duran, an absolute beautiful goal around 15 minutes from time to secure the result for Villa. It means Everton are now the worst side in the league to start the season. Only one of 2 sides yet to get a point this season. Them and Southampton have lost all of their first 4 league games this season. Everton conceded 13 goals in their 4 league games. That is averaging over 3 goals a game conceded in their first 4 games, and they've lost all 4. And they sit bottom of the table. And just the 1 goal to show from the game on the South Coast last night between Bournemouth and Chelsea. Again, another side on the South Coast failing to convert from the spot. Bournemouth had a penalty through Evan Ailson, saved by the Chelsea goalkeeper in the first half, before an 86th minute winner from Christopher Nkunku decided the points, where the points were going for Enzo Maresca's side. A Chelsea side who have been a bit crazy to start the season. But 2 wins out of their first 4, 7 points out of a possible 12. It's not a too shabby start for the Blues. That was yesterday's results, and as well earlier today we saw Tottenham beaten 1-0 by Arsenal. Back-to-back defeats for Spurs, and Arsenal back to winning ways after dropping points in match day 3. They sit second in the table. So let's just show you what way the table looks as it stands at this moment in time with this game. Currently, Wolves would be winning, of course. We're currently leading 1-0 at the break. Let's show you what that means for the Premier League table then. Of course, very early in the season, still a long way to go, and not really much to read into the table. But let's have a look at it anyway. Manchester City lead the way. They are well ahead of everyone else. 11 goals scored, considering 9 of those have been scored by Erling Haaland. They are on 12 points. Arsenal in second. One of the remaining sides unbeaten. They're on 10 points. Liverpool suffered their first defeat of the season yesterday. They are on 9 points. Aston Villa also on 9 points in 4th. That is the exact repeat of last season's top 4 in that order that finished the season. At Brighton in 5th on 8 points. Nottingham Forest, one of the big shockers at the start of the season, unbeaten after 4 games and on 8 points. Chelsea in 7th on 7 points. Newcastle as it stands on 7 points, but can break into the top 3 if they win this one and turn this around at the moment on 7 points, currently losing of course. Brentford in 9th on 6 points, and Manchester United break into the top half also on 6 points. To the bottom half then, Bournemouth just below that 10th place. They're in 11th on 5 points, alongside Fulham are also on 5 points. Bournemouth ahead of them on goals scored, both exact 0 goal difference. Tottenham in 13th on 4 points, followed suit by West Ham and currently Wolves, who are on course for their first win of the season as it stands, with leading Newcastle. Leicester, Crystal Palace and Ipswich all on 2 points with 2 draws out of the first 4. And Southampton and Everton joint bottom of the league. Everton well below the par, conceding 13 goals. -9 goal difference after 4 games is a dreadful start for the Toffees. That's the way the table looks after 4 games, and the second half between Wolves and Newcastle, where it is the home side leading by a goal to 0, is on the way in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Catch me if I fall.
Welcome back to Premier League Live. The second half at Molineux is on the way in just a moment. Don't forget, though, Champions League is back in midweek, and we have 4 games to whet your appetite for the new format of the Champions League, including a double header on Tuesday night as Aston Villa make their return to Europe's elite competition for the first time in 42 years. They head to Sweden. To Switzerland, to face Atalanta. Those are our 4 games, all 4 Premier League sides involved in our action this week. Looking forward to it. The second half, Molineux on the way next. Do stay with us. Welcome back to Premier League Live, and we've just come back to the match feed, and there are 3 Newcastle players on the sideline. There are a triple change at half time coming. Harvey Barnes, Joe Willock and Sandro Tonali all coming on for Newcastle. A real statement from Eddie Howe, saying that he is not happy with what his side are doing at the moment. They are all ready to re-enter the field in a moment as the Wolves players just come back out. Certainly taking their time at this moment so far. But, of course, one point to make. Alexander Isak, we did mention, might not be returning for the second half. He is not returning for the second half. Neither is Joelinton or Sean Longstaff. So Longstaff, Isak and Joelinton all replaced, and Sandro Tonali, Harvey Barnes and Joe Willock all on for Newcastle. So a real statement at half time from Eddie Howe. Not happy with his side's first half performance. Clearly borne out in the fact that he's making a triple half-time substitution for his team. Wow. Wolves kicking from left to right. Newcastle from right to left for the second half. Let's see if that changes any sort of patterns. As Mario Lemina, who scored the only goal of the game so far, gets us underway for the second period here at Molineux. Of course, Sandro Tonali, we expected to be coming on at half time, of course, with that issue with Alexander Isak at half time. So lost their star striker, did Newcastle, but have made a swap. We'll see what way they line up. It looks like, from what I can see, Anthony Gordon's going through the middle, Harvey Barnes off the right, or off the left, sorry, and Jacob Murphy off the right hand side. So it's just not massive amounts of confusion there, really, as Semedo tried to break down the right, while closed off by Hall and cleared away by Nick Pope. Almost brought down under control by Strun Larsen. But here comes Harvey Barnes. Out wide to Lewis Hall. Looks to want to go over in the overlap. Back across to Willock. Now Guimaraes will shoot. And forces a big save off Sam Johnston. It's a good effort. Good save. Well cut back by Joe Willock to the edge of the D, and Bruno Guimaraes readying himself to take the shot. It was a fierce effort. As a corner taken short. Lots of scrambling in the boxes. The ball's cleared away. Not fully though. Cher with his shot. Just over the bar. Goodness me, we come back from the replay and the corner had already been taken. I think there was a few calls of penalty as well in there from Newcastle players. Anthony Gordon put the ball into the box and Willock was battling. And I think it does come off the arm of Craig Dawson, but I think that would be harsh if that penalty was given. And Mosquera boots it away in the end. But goodness me, I think they have VAR had a look at it and said there's no further action needed. Referee Chris Kavanagh fed that information, so we will play on. No penalty is the decision. It's a good start from Newcastle. Positive moment to start the half. Well, they did have threatened on once or twice so far. That's a nice ball by Willock, finding Harvey Barnes. Barnes in the box, chips it across. Headed away by Aitnouri, not fully cleared. Murphy recycles it back with Livramento, but getting back in there was Bellegarde up against Livramento to win it back. Aitnouri. Cunha tried to find Lamina, but Newcastle win the ball back. Here's Hall. Better from Newcastle. Now Barnes. Cuts it back to Willock. Edge of the box. Joe Willock up against his man. Lays it across to Anthony Gordon on the spin. And absolutely clattered Craig Dawson, who blocked it. But they're going to have to stop this now as Dawson's took a firm whack. Does really well from a defensive point of view, but maybe paying the price for that bit of defending. Anthony Gordon on the turn. Beautiful. And it comes right off the head of Craig Dawson there. Fabulous defending, but sure very painful. But he's hard enough to take it. And Craig Dawson back to his feet pretty quickly, which is good to see. He's telling his side to stay tight, stay compact. A few gaps emerging early in this second half in the Wolves' defensive structure. With a few new players in for Newcastle, a few different problems will be caused. I'm sure Anthony Gordon much more central, something that Newcastle or Wolves, defensively will have to deal with. Is Sam Johnston. Goodness me, gets very, very lucky there. Craig Dawson just goes back to Johnson. He's taken far too much time. He can see Anthony Gordon chasing him down from a mile off, and he just very casually tries to boot the ball away, and Gordon closes it down, but he got lucky that it went for a goal kick and not into his own net there, Sam Johnston. Goodness me. Very avoidable that moment as he gets it kicked long well. This time does Johnston. There's Mosquera, and Johnson takes no time on this one. Bouncing ball brought down in the tight space. I think it was Cunha in there. It's kept it on. Here's Aitnouri. Better play from Wolves there. Lovely intricate ball control. Aitnouri now lays it off to Andre, to Nelson Semedo. Up against Barnes, who's just dropped in. Semedo back to Andre. Now that João Gomez. Andre again. Round the corner to Mosquera. And Gomez was a risky pass, but Mosquera was there to mop it up. If the pass didn't work, it didn't. And he did clean it up, but misplaced pass by Dawson there. Willock. Closed down well by Andre. Good battle there by Wolves in a few moments. Semedo, give and go here with Cunha. Cunha breaking down the right. A few bit of botherings in the middle, but Dan Burn didn't let Cunha pass the first time, but he will get the throw in. Matheus Cunha, that's really well hard work. Great work from Matheus Cunha, and I think the referee's just going to put out a yellow card here. And it is going to be given to Dan Burn. I think he's just got a yellow card there, the Newcastle centre-back, for whatever he said in his frustrations for not getting a foul. Ultimately, there's nothing in that. There was a clash off the ball. I think it was Strand Larson and maybe Cher that were colliding there. Say it again. Yeah, it was. They just collide with each other. I mean, it's not a foul. There's nothing in that. Dan Burn is the one that gets booked. I mean, Gary O'Neill is going absolutely mental on the sidelines when that happened, but it's just a collision between the two players. I mean, it's not a foul. Desperate. I mean, they'd call for anything now. It's just not a foul. Anyway, Wolves in possession again. Aitnouri, who's been really wonderful so far. Aitnouri, both in attack and in defence. It's a nice switch ball to Semedo. Through the lines, finds Lamina, bricking in between the gaps. Now finds Strand Larsen, who's hit the post. Very close there from Wolves. Newcastle clinging on all of a sudden. Very, very close, but Wolves again getting a foothold. Starting the second half as they ended the first. In the better fashion. Playing the better football. Dawson tries to ping it out for Cunha, who will win the throw off Lewis Hall, and Strand Larsen gets the crowd up. See this again, Semedo, nice fainted ball round the corner for Lamina, unmarked, and as he's closed down he just gets the ball away, finds Jorgen Strand Larsen, and the strike, just try to sneak it in the bottom right corner. Nick Pope had no chance, but the post denying him rather than Pope, and ultimately Wolves had a big chance for a second there. They've come very close to adding a second multiple occasions in the game of Wolves. Could they end up paying the price for that? But look, we're not going to get too dramatic too early. But I have to be honest, Wolves are certainly on top at the moment. Newcastle, this is a spell where they need to hold on. They need to make sure that 1-0 doesn't become 2-0. Try and get back into this game. Pope tries to hook it out to the left-hand side. It is kept in play. I think some of the Wolves fans were cheering because they thought the ball had gone out of play, but it was kept in. But well, Newcastle don't keep it for very long, and ultimately Livramento with a challenge to try and win it back. Absolutely takes out Jean-Victor Bellegarde there. Very cynical challenge. Free kick goes the way of Wolves. Wolves making that, taking that free kick. Took their time. We're a bit confused as to what they wanted to do there, the players. Dawson back to Johnston. Johnston goes long, trying to target his front man, and Strand Larsen does well. Finds Bellegarde now. Nuri. Bellegarde going to take on Livramento in the one-on-one battle. Here's Jean-Victor Bellegarde again. Back with Nuri. Working a bit of space here for Wolves. Gomez. Andre. They're going to switch it out to Semedo. Quickly on his tracks is Lewis Hall, but Semedo has more than enough time to deal with this situation. Back with Mosquera, and now Sam Johnston. Good play from Wolves. Certainly looking comfortable as Johnston tries to find his centre forward again. The referee thought it was a bit of a tussle there. There's no foul according to the initial challenge, and now Wolves will be penalised for a successive foul there just afterwards. So Newcastle got the free kick on that occasion. And here comes Harvey Barnes. Barnes into the box. Wolves to clear it through Dawson. And now Lamina wants to send Wolves on the front foot. Lamina has to turn back. He was being pulled at there, but he does incredibly well to keep the ball under pressure. Andre. Mosquera. The Wolves crowd really applauding their side's wonderful ability to keep the ball. I mean, it's really nice to watch. Technique from all of these players is just really beautiful to watch. Johnston again goes long with the pass, but too much for Strand Larsen to get near, but Nuri does really well in chesting that one down. Here is João Gomez. Lamina to Andre. Now Cunha was comfortable at just passing the ball around, keeping the ball moving, keeping Newcastle at bay, and finding that little pass into the space. Here is Andre. Now Semedo. Newcastle really struggling at the moment to get a hold of the ball. Dawson, which is quite ironic considering how much of the possession they had in the first half. They had 63% possession in the first half, Newcastle. So far in the second half, Wolves have had 73%, so it's completely swung the other way. And Cunha does well, breaks away from a challenge, Now finds Semedo on the right. This is a good chance. Semedo's cross. And Strand-Larsen's header goes wide. I think Cher got a touch on that maybe. In the middle. They were both going for the header. I'll see this again. It's Cher that gets all the ball. Corner for Wolves. And the crowd are really applauding and cheering their side on. They know this is a big moment. They add a second. It just makes the game a little bit more comfortable for Wolves, a little bit more kind of concise, and really kind of puts a blow to Newcastle. Cunha to take the corner. Whipped in. Up in the air it goes. Wanting another corner did Wolves, but going away quite coy was João Gomez, who wasn't calling for another one because I think he might have got the header on that. And he did. Goal kick. Byrne. Hall. Now to Barnes. Back to Lewis Hall. Byrne. Ball finds its way forward. Here comes Barnes. Now Willock on the overlap. Willock with a chip cross. Right, Nuri taking no risks. Wasn't going to head it back towards his own goal and just heads it behind for a corner. Knew there was a threat behind him. Had to do something. Ran out Nuri and puts it behind for a Newcastle corner. Only their second corner of the game. Only the third corner of the game overall. Not many corners in this one. Sorry, that's that third corner in the second half. The corner comes to nothing, but Newcastle keep it alive in the box, and Tonali maybe tried to prod it there, but into the hands it went of Sam Johnston. It was a bit of head tennis initially, and then flicked round by Barnes, and Tonali just kind of prodded a right foot at it. Not real much accuracy behind it, and ultimately easily gathered by the Wolves keeper. Dawson. Andre. Out Nuri. Linking up with Bellegarde. As we hit the hour mark at Molineux. Wolves 1, Newcastle 0. Wolves certainly still on top. Semedo. Now Andre. Wolves again just comfortable at just knocking the ball around. Their ball control in tight areas has been fabulous as well, Wolves. Here comes out Nuri down the left. Cher, he's gone out to join him. Out Nuri has to go backwards with it to Gomez. Now Andre, but that's one thing about Wolves. They're not afraid to just go back and not kind of force the issue at times. Just not taking unnecessary risks. Lamina! What a cross, and the header from Strand-Larsen. Away by Nick Pope, but what a pass by Mario Lamina. Pinpoint onto the head of Jørgen Strand-Larsen. And that really gets the crowd up. Wolves win it back again. Here's Bellegarde. Cunha. Nice touch. Strike is high and wide from that area, but that was close. Mario Lamina gets the space on the right-hand side. Decides not to take a run. Just decides to cross it. Sees the run of Strand-Larsen against Byrne. Beautiful whipped cross. And Strand-Larsen's directed header. Kind of smothered by Nick Pope as he dived towards it. That was a really good chance. Fabulous opportunity. Barnes for Newcastle. Need to find a way back into this one. It's been all Wolves for the last 10-15 minutes. Basically the whole of the second half. Here's Hall, back to Harvey Barnes. Now Guimaraes. Hall. 4 bodies for Newcastle in the middle. And they messed that one up. As Sam Johnston boots clear it. Initially it was thought it would go out of play, but didn't have that much pace on it. And Sten Larsson trying to make a nuisance of himself at the back for Newcastle there at the back, but dealt with that. Share. Now wide it goes. To Murphy. Tonali. Argued out to that right flank, but will win the free kick off Ryan Nuri. Will Sandro Tonali. Free kick to Newcastle. Yeah, it's just a silly challenge by Ryan Nuri, although he's been a fabulous player. He's got a yellow card as well for it, but he's been a fabulous performer today. Really, really good, but just an unnecessary foul to give away, and you now have a free kick to defend because Tonali was going absolutely nowhere. Before they do make that change, but before they do take that free kick, they're going to make a change here. Newcastle at right back. Tino Livramento is going to make way, and Kieran Trippier is going to be coming on. So an experienced head coming on to try and guide Newcastle to somewhat of a result here this afternoon. They've really struggled in this second half to really get to grips with it. They have a set piece of which Kieran Trippier will take. So instantly thrown into the action. Kieran Trippier. Taking their time with this free kick. A lot of pushing and shoving in the box. Trippier to deliver. Right-footed cross. Headed away at the front post. Murphy to deliver it back in. Flicked on by Byrne. And I think Sam Johnston had that one all covered over. If it had dipped, but just goes over. I have to say, one thing I do say that Newcastle have probably missed is that focal point in this second half. I mean, I'm not saying Anthony Gordon's not going to doing a good job there, but he is more naturally a wide player. Usually see him running at defences, taking players on, not trying to kind of be a focal point or that kind of pinpoint furthest forward player centrally for Newcastle. Very rare that would happen, but at the same time, you know, there's nothing they really could have done about that with Isak having to go off. But to be honest, I think that's where they're struggling at the moment. They're still getting the ball wide, they're still getting the option wide, but they're not really, you know, the point that I made where Newcastle had the majority of their kind of good work in that first half was when Isak did drop deeper and allowed players to run off him, kind of more of that 10 role in a sense, or even a false 9 role. We just dropped off the centre forward area, and maybe a Murphy would run in behind her, and Anthony Gordon would make those diagonal runs along from in to out, or out to in, sorry. But I haven't seen that in the second half from Newcastle, whether they've just abandoned that technique with the fact they just don't have the personnel for it. But that's probably where they got the most joy, and their best kind of spell in that first half was when they were having Alexander Isak dropping in and having those players feed off him. We haven't seen any of that in the second half, of course, but something that Newcastle need to find again. Here is Anthony Gordon. Has dropped off this time, but he's come wide. Murphy now trying to lay off with him. That's better. Finds Willock. Now wide to Barnes. There's a good chance for Newcastle. Barnes breaking into the 6-yard box and tried to shoot, but well charged down by Mosquera there. And I think that will be a corner. The ball just gone behind. See this again. But again, it's exactly the moment I was talking about. A player having that focal point. It was Jacob Murphy this time. in the central area and just allowing passes off him, distributing in and around him, and he plays it off to Willock. Willock finds Barnes, and they get that joy out of that position. And I get the corner. Trippier will take. Deep to the back post. Byrne to flick it down, but the second man to connect with it is Sam Johnston, the Wolves keeper, to gather. Sam Johnston puts it long. Decent opportunity here. Cunha's found a bit of space in behind. Here's Matthias Cunha in the box. Try to sneak it in the near post. I think it might have hit the post again. And now here come Newcastle. Fabulous challenge by Mosquera on Barnes. But this is just a hopeful ball forward by Johnson. I think he spotted the run of Cunha, but what's happened there? I mean, how has he got that much space to break in behind? I mean, that's really terrible. It's dreadful. I mean, that is... I mean, it's one long ball over the top. Baffling. There's been a yellow card distributed here. I think it's Jason Tyndall that's got the yellow card. I know it wasn't a player on the field. And now the fourth official's getting an earful. And Simon Hooper, so Jason Tyndall just been booked, so has to be careful. Wolves again being very physical, but this time giving away a free kick, and I think Lewis Hall just tried to grab Jean-Victor Ellegard. I think the referee's going to give another yellow card out here. He is. This time it's going to be Nelson Semedo. Gets that booking, and he's just gone down. I think that's going to be his afternoon over. So he's just got a yellow card, and I think that will be his last involvement for me. So, Nelson Semedo. And I'm just seeing why Jason Tyndall got a yellow card. He got a yellow card for playing ball boy, giving the ball to one of his players, and he got out of his technical area. Wow. Bizarre. Hee-Chan Huang is going to be going on. He's going to replace Jean-Victor Bellegarde. So, Nelson Semedo is not going off at the moment anyway. So Bellegarde off and Hee-Chan Huang on. Of course, as I said, the last time Wolves beat Newcastle was here in a 2-1 win, and Hee-Chan Huang scored both goals. He's actually scored 4 goals in 5 appearances against Newcastle, has Huang. That's a goal every 71 minutes against them. So he has certainly got his favourite team to score against, it seems. Or at least one of them. João Gomez tried to battle for the ball, but Murphy holds on to it well. And this time Gomez battling again. They're really in a tussle. And Nuri there to help out, but Trippier there as well. And Nuri could only put it out for a Newcastle throw. Just over 20 minutes to go. Wolves 1, Newcastle 0. Bit more urgency maybe needed from Newcastle as the game goes on. He's Guimaraes trying to break down the right and waiting for a challenge. The challenge came from Huang. Will be a corner. It's Newcastle's 5th corner of the game. Sorry, 6th corner of the game, apologies. It's 3 more than Wolves. Corner delivered. Cleared away at the front post, but Tonali at the edge. Didn't want to take the shot. Murphy tried to find Trippier, who was in an offside position anyway. Didn't get it, but he was offside nonetheless. I mean, it's just... I have to be honest. Again, it's not been enamouring at all from Newcastle. You compare their first halves to second halves, albeit they've had a lot less possession, Newcastle, between the first and second halves. The first half they had 3 shots, second half they've had 7, so they've improved in terms of their output in the second half. Wolves have actually had the same amount of shots in the second half as they did in the first, but to be honest, Wolves' chances are much more threatening than Newcastle's. I mean, they've hit the post, they've had a few saved, so Wolves are certainly testing Nick Pope and certainly getting it in and around the goal, whereas Newcastle I don't think have really massively tested Sam Johnston, as Andre gets a yellow card for a challenge he committed on Joe Willock. So Andre in the book, his debut. Here's Barnes. Tonali. Now to Guimaraes, who tried to wriggle his way through, but well challenged by Gomez, and back to his keeper in Sam Johnston. Wolves have, in the Premier League certainly, never kept a clean sheet against Newcastle. Certainly at home anyway. 6 recently, since 2019, but in total, in all of their meetings, with Wolves being the home side in all of those meetings, Newcastle have never failed to score in any of those games. They've scored at least 1 goal in all of their meetings against Wolves in the Premier League era. Here is Murphy across into the box, and again there was a lot of bodies in there, but Dawson comes away with the ball and clears it away. Maybe a bit desperate that time from Craig Dawson. Give it away very cheaply. It was Mosquera that gave away initially to Newcastle midfield. I think Newcastle have been better the last 5 minutes or so. They have to be, they need to be. Here is Guimaraes in and around the edge of the box. Back to Fabian Schär, takes a deflection, and it's found its way in. Wow. Fabian Schär, a bit of luck for Newcastle, and they're back on terms. A wicked deflection sends Fabian Schär's hopeful and optimistic effort flying past Sam Johnston in the Wolves goal, and the away stand celebrating. And it's been the last few moments of real kind of Newcastle starting to find a foothold again, and it's one of those ones where you think, just take an optimistic effort at it, why not hit it? And it takes an awful deflection off Craig Dawson as it goes through, and absolutely wrong foots the keeper, no chance at saving it. And ultimately, maybe that's the slice of luck that Newcastle have been waiting for, that Newcastle have maybe needed. And Fabian Schär, I think, will get credited with a goal because the shot would have been on target, but it certainly will not be a conventional goal, shall we say. Wolves 1, Newcastle 1. And the 2 number 5s scoring. As Andre's just gone down, so we're set up for a crazy finish, I'm sure, with around 14 minutes plus the additional time. Certainly a finish to behold on the cards here. And they're going to make a double change in a minute, Wolves. And they're going to actually make a double change now, actually. So Nelson Semedo's going to make way. He's going to be replaced by Matt Doherty. So a straight swap at right back. And the second substitution is going to be Andre. He's going to have to leave the field, and he's going to be replaced by Tommy Doyle. So Doyle and Doherty on, replacing Andre and Nelson Semedo. Bit of good fortune for Newcastle, but Sometimes you need the luck. And is their kind of promising start to the season for Newcastle continuing? Well, they probably haven't been the better side again here, but they might be coming away with at least a point. Or are they? Doherty to Doyle. 2 substitutes. Back to Matt Doherty. To Mosquera. Now Dawson. Joe Gomez. Looking to lift it out to the right hand side. Doherty made the break. Cuts it back to the edge. The strike from Matheus Cunha. Blasted off Lewis Hall. Corner to Wolves. They're certainly not settling for a draw. They want the 3 points. They've certainly probably had the quality and the chances maybe to have seen it through to get the 3 points. The second goal has eluded them up to this point. Doyle to take the corner. Right footed delivery. Right into the hands of Nick Pope. There's a lot of bodies in and around there, but Nick Pope was the commanding one. And now here comes Trippier. This is Newcastle trying to take their moment when they have it. Murphy on the spin. Back out wide it goes though. To Barnes. Trippier. Tonali back to Trippier. Try to go for the give a go. Cut back to Guimaraes through the lines. This cut back. Looking for Gordon. That would have been a wonderful move. Fabian Schär. Where has he pulled that from? Centre back turned bloody technician midfielder all of a sudden. Linking up pass after pass. Incredible. Where have Newcastle come from? Murphy to take the corner short. Trippier. Back to Hall. Delivered into the box. Away by Cunha. Flicked away by Aït-Nouri, but straight out for a Newcastle throw that each and every time Wolves clear their lines, Newcastle and their fans really cheer and roar. They feel the momentum is with the visitors. And with around 10 minutes or so to go, there's a winner on the cards. Barnes. Willock. Back to Barnes. Skips away from 2. Harvey Barnes! Oh, what a goal! Fabulous from Harvey Barnes. Momentum from Newcastle. And an absolute screamer from Harvey Barnes. Turns this game on its head. Wolves dominating and cruising for a time. But all of a sudden, Newcastle have woken up. They got their equaliser with a slice of luck. And that is no luck in that. That is pure quality from Harvey Barnes. Fabulous goal. Absolutely sensational. Goodness me. Have to say, Harvey Barnes, again, Doherty just lets him run past and just really pays a criminal price for it. It's dreadful defending. To allow him the time and space to cut inside, knowing what he's capable of. And that is certainly what he's capable of. Absolutely incredible goal. No chance for the keeper. Absolutely incredible. What a turnaround for Newcastle later on here. Wolves 1, Newcastle 2, and 2 of the very best has the Toon in the lead. Wow. Just wow. That's all you can really say. Again, people will say, oh, do they deserve it? Do they really deserve to be winning this game? Do they really deserve to be in this position? But look, that's not what matters. Sometimes in football you never get what you deserve. Wolves have probably bossed this game in terms of the way they've played and the football they've played. It's been wonderful to watch, but when you don't take your chances, when you don't score more than one goal, you leave yourself at the mercy of the opponent. And a slice of luck went Newcastle's way, and the second goal just pure quality and class. But it's not over yet, though. Here they come. Do Wolves wanting to add a second to equalise this game again. Remember, 5 of the last 6 meetings here have ended in draws. Newcastle haven't beaten Wolves at home since 2011. Can Newcastle hold on, or will Wolves make sure that that record continues and get another point at least on the board? Still without a win this season, Wolves, and it looks like that will be continuing from a position of leading by a goal to nil and cruising to 2-1 down in a matter of minutes. Mosquera to Dawson. Even Mosquera is trying to get forward. It's really desperate now for Wolves. João Gomez. Dawson trying to dart it in behind for the run of Cunha, but well closed off by the Newcastle defence, and that's going to be a free kick. Given away by Mario Lemina. There's Ryan Aït-Nouri's in pain on the floor as well. So Guimaraes and Aït-Nouri are both down at the moment, so both sides having their injury worries. Late in this one. Goodness me. I mean, the absolute pure quality of that goal is sensational. Well, next up for these two, Wolves in action in the Cup in the week. In an all-Premier League tie, they head to the Amex Stadium, to Brighton. They play them during the week on Wednesday night. And then they're away on the road next Saturday at 3 o'clock as they head to Villa Park. Aston Villa next up for them. For Newcastle, they are back in action. They... Just seeing that goal again. They are back in Premier League action next Saturday away to Fulham. Their cup action that we need to really, I need to get a grip on. They will play Wimbledon next week, of course. So a few complications with schedules, but Wimbledon are their opponents in the Carabao Cup third round. Newcastle, so both have cup and league action to come in the near distant future. They're still stopped here for the moment, so will be quite a number of minutes of added time added on here. Harvey Barnes could be the hero for the Wolves player, or for the Newcastle team, sorry. Just saying that, as Wolves are going to make another double change here. And they're going to have to get involved pretty quickly if they're going to want to change this game late on. As Ryan Aït-Nouri's day is over. It's been a very good day for Ryan Aït-Nouri in terms of his performance. And Jørgen Strand Larsen's had a few good opportunities. They're both coming off. And coming on in their places is Gonzalo Guedes. Is one of those changes. And Carlos Forbes. He had two different surnames there. That's strange. The 20-year-old Portuguese. So double substitution there for Wolves. And I think Newcastle are going to make one of their own as well. Lloyd Kelly is going to be coming on late on here for Newcastle. And he's going to replace Bruno Guimaraes. So Guimaraes off, Lloyd Kelly on for Newcastle. So, and is... Both sides have made all 5 of their substitutions now. 3 minutes to go as we get back underway then, after those substitutions and an injury stoppage as well. So we'll see how long we'll be added on at the end of the 90. Whether there is time for Wolves to rescue this. Sure there is. But can they do it? That's the question. As it stands, Newcastle will be heading into third in the table on 10 points. Remain up on that level with Arsenal and Manchester City. It's not an uncommon home defeat could be incoming here for Wolves. Lost 5 of their last 6 home games. Won just 1 of those. It's not been a good home record for Wolves. It's never what you want to see from any side. Trying to build something. Here's Forbes. Now in behind. Cunha tried to cross it, but headed behind, or put behind by Byrne. Out for the throw. 2 minutes of the 90 to go. Doherty to tick this throw in then for Wolves. Wolves fans watch on nervously. Doherty to throw. Long throw into the box incoming. Up in the air it goes. Tried to be guided by Forbes. Did try and battle for the ball there, but Newcastle come away with it. And now this is a chance. On the counter-attack, Murphy finding Barnes. Harvey Barnes got Willock and Gordon with him. Barnes threads it through for Tonali. Big save by Johnston with his left boot to deny what would have been a game-ending goal. Because that would have been 3-1 and that would have been game, set, a match for Newcastle. But a big save by Sam Johnston keeps it alive. As Mario Lamina wins the ball back cleanly, says the referee. Here's Guedes to Forbes. Guedes will try and win it back, but Hall does really well. And battling too, puts it out for the throw. And he is now gone down, which is a concern. Because there's no substitutions left for Newcastle. Whether it's just a bit of cramp that's struggling there. Lewis Hall. I'm guessing it is cramp. Just seeing that counter-attacking chance again from Newcastle. Fabulous counter-attack. The ball to Barnes. Barnes threading it through. Tonali taking the touch and then having the strike. Well saved by Sam Johnston, but we had into the 90th minute, 8 out of minutes incoming. We were showing a replay and the game got restarted all of a sudden. 8 out of minutes incoming. I just want to see that again. Throw in into the box and flicked on by Mosquera into the middle and trying to reach it, I think, was Guedes, and it just ends up into the hands of Nick Pope. But oh, they both went to ground. There was nothing in that. VAR maybe could have had a look at it, but nothing doing. So 7 of the 8 minutes to go. Wolves know how much time they have. Can they get that equalising goal to rescue a point in a game where probably the way they've played probably deserves 3? But look, Premier League is harsh and tough and unfair at times. But here comes Dawson, trying to go in behind. Wrong pass by Craig Dawson. Made the run. They're certainly pushing now, Wolves. They're throwing even their centre-backs forward. They're trying everything possible to keep the ball up the right end of the pitch for them at this late stage to try and rescue a goal out of something. Lamina. Mosquera now out to the right hand side here with Forbes. Back to Mosquera. Going to go for the cross. Pretty low one. That's booted away by Tonali, but out for a Wolves throw. Doherty's going to try and target the long throw. Once again. 6 of the 8 minutes to go. Doherty with a long throw into the box. Flicked on by Barnes and the shot! What a save by Pope! Still alive though. Goodness me. Guedes round the corner trying to find Lamina, but Cher got that one away. I have to see the replay on that. Long throw into the box. Flicked on by Barnes at the front post, and as it fell, the shot by Matheus Cunha. What an effort. Was darting towards that far corner. Fabulous effort. Saved by Pope. Another cross comes in, headed away. Back out wide by Doyle. Finds Cunha. Cunha with a cross. Charging towards the keeper, who gathers. As they are desperate for a penalty there all of a sudden, Wolves, but referee says no. He said VAR, I'm sure we'll check it, but I don't think there's anything in that from my point of view. I didn't see any issue there. No. I mean, it's pretty weak from the forward there against Dan Burn. It's not foul, certainly not a penalty. Still 5 minutes to go. The clock is ticking down, but Wolves are certainly pushing. Desperately so, but pushing everything they have. Newcastle just stepping off. Desperate to hang on. Guedes. Huang looks to lift it into the box. Forbes across and headed away by, I think that was Cher in there. Kelly actually it was. As Hall beaten off the ball, the referee is going to give the free kick against Forbes, who's got really angry with the assistant. Devil eyes there from Forbes. Certainly terrifying. Goodness me. Was that their chance? That Cunha effort. Was that the opportunity for Wolves? Fabulous save by Nick Pope, but what a chance. What a shot by Matheus Cunha. Don't forget, Champions League is back. Tuesday night, 5:45 kickoff in Switzerland and Bern as Young Boys take on Aston Villa at 5:45 on Tuesday night. Murphy. Gordon finds Murphy again, going into the corner flag here, I'm guessing. He is. So, time wasting at its finest there. Will be a throw in. I think Jacob Murphy had to go searching for that ball there, and I think he's got a yellow card. What's that all about? Bizarre. Murphy takes the throw in. As Newcastle try and keep it in this corner, but Doherty tries his best to clear it away. Will win the throw. 2.5 minutes to go. Here we go. Doyle. Doherty. And Forbes winning the throw in off Willock. Wolves continue to push. Doyle. To lift it into the box. Not on the same page there as Dawson that time. Doyle. Now Cunha. Back to Tommy Doyle. Again looks to lift it. Lamina's the target this time. Bouncing into the box. Forbes brings it down. Couldn't get a connection to take the shot. As Wolves again winning the ball back instantly. Doyle. 90 seconds to go. Again darting it into the middle. Lamina heads it down. Huang lays it off now to Gomez. Doyle. Now to Forbes. Linking up with Gomez into the box deep to the back post. As Trippier trying to battle with Lamina. Lamina picks up the ball on the left flank. Finds Cunha in the middle, across, and Cher was there to clear it away. Back with Lamina. Cunha, they're desperately pushing for it, Wolves, all across the 18-yard box. Forbes a deflection over the bar, and I think the flag was up anyway. Goodness me. And that was probably going to be that. See it again. Yeah, it's come across, and Forbes on the... It's not Forbes, actually. It's on the spin, and... Yeah, it is Forbes, sorry. On the spin, and... Bizarre, that. Just takes a deflection, but offside in the end. Wow. 90 minutes is up. It's last chance now for Wolves if they can get it up the field, but Newcastle have the possession. They're pinging it around. They want a last chance. That would really end the game. Here's Harvey Barnes, chips the keeper, misses the target. Is there one last chance? One last attack for Wolves, or is that it? Done and dusted. There it is. It's all over. 99 minutes of football where Wolves have probably been the better side, but as has been accustomed with Newcastle's performances and results this season, they maybe haven't been the best side in any of their games really, but they've come away unbeaten in all four. 3 wins out of 4. A fabulous start to the season for Newcastle. They're certainly their best in a long, long time. They sit in 3rd in the table. 3 wins out of 4. 10 points on the board. Wolves continue without a win. When it looked like Mario Lamina's goal would have been enough. The deflected equaliser from Fabian Cher. And then Harvey Barnes with an absolute touch of class to secure the 3 points for Newcastle. The travelling Toon Army are the ones singing and cheering inside Molineux. A not too uncommon result for the Wolves fans and players, having lost 5 of their last 6. It's the first time they have lost at home in the Premier League against Newcastle since October 2011. 13 years and well in the waiting for Newcastle. Final score at Molineux: Wolves 1, Newcastle 2. And that's another Premier League weekend done and dusted. Another away win this weekend, where only 2 home sides emerged victorious. All the rest either draws or away wins. Fabulous. What a weekend of Premier League football. And we have had a record this weekend. The most yellow cards in a Premier League weekend, 65. Including the most in a single game, which we saw last night between Bournemouth and Chelsea in 14. But that's another Premier League weekend over. United back to winning ways. Draws for Brighton, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Leicester, Fulham, West Ham as well. Liverpool beaten at home. City and Villa winning again. Bournemouth beaten at home by Chelsea, who are really as consistent as anything. They're just... You could never guess what's coming from Chelsea. And then today, 2 narrow away wins. In the North London derby, Arsenal back to winning ways, and Newcastle also remaining unbeaten. That's it from this Premier League weekend. We're back in midweek for Champions League action. For now, thanks for your company. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.